I'm having a heck of a time. I'm having a heck of a time with YouTube this morning. I can't seem to get in agreement with it on the orientation of my screen, so it is what it is. I'm tired of fighting it. Good morning. It's Tuesday morning. Uh, I'm going to turn this light down a little bit. It's blinding me. Here we go. Uh, Hello, everybody. It's Alex. Um, Back for another fishing report this week for fly fishing Lake Fork and Fly Fish Fork. And wanted to hope everybody had a fantastic and safe weekend and got your fishing in and got your outdoors in, because it looks like we're going into a pretty deep rainy period, pretty long rainy period, which we need. We sure need water here at Lake Fork, and I know the whole state has been in some variation of a drought for quite a while now. So we need it. So what happens when your water's been real low? This is a great question. I'd love to get some comments on it. You'll hear thunder out here today. You might also hear my air conditioner go on the roof of my trailer because it's humid and it's hot and I'm sweating a little bit. Anyway, what happens when the lake is 3 feet low and then all of a sudden you get all this influx of fresh water and rain and nutrients and oxygen and all that stuff, and in a fairly short period of time, let's just say a week, it comes back up to normal. The question is, how does that affect the fish and the fishing? Because, of course, the first thing that you want to do is you want to get out and fish in that fresh water. So if it's come up 2 or 3 inches, it's one thing. So if the water level comes up an inch, it spreads out 4 or 5 inches on the ground around the edges of the lake, around the shore of the lake, right? So when it comes up several inches or a foot, it really covers a lot of ground. It gets up into a lot of the weeds and grass and things like that that were growing. And it now I it if this holds true and this lake comes up to full pool like I was told it's going to, it's coming up 2 feet. That's going to really open up a lot of ground and a lot of bottom cover. It's going to cover up a lot of grass that's growing around the edges, weeds, uh, all kinds of little animals that are living in there that are going to now be uh, fish food or vulnerable to the fish. And so what happens then, and what's the best way to attack that? And over the years, I've had mixed experiences with this. I've gone out when the water's come up high, and I've gone out and fished the shallow water, the fresh new water, and I'll find certain maybe areas where I'm going to just really do well, where there's going to be a bunch of fish in there feeding, and I might catch a bunch of fish, and so those areas are typically going to be where there's a creek. So if you're fishing a lake that's just come up, now I know um a lot of the lakes between us, we're out by Tyler, we're north of Tyler, between us and Dallas. And a lot of the main water supply lakes for Dallas have already filled up. They've been getting the rain that we've been missing, actually. And so they'll have a different experience than we'll have. And so when you're bass fishing, or even if you're brim fishing, shallow water fishing, and this lake comes up and it gets on top of all this freshly grown grass. And not only that, there is a layer of grass that has been growing in the water, duckweed. There's hydrilla, coontail, uh, these are the things that stay. A lot of times when that water lifts up, it'll actually kind of unroot some of those things and they'll actually float up. But a lot of it will actually just continue to grow underneath the water. So you almost have like two layers that you can fish. So you've got a layer that's already down there that's hydrilla or whatever weeds are growing on the bottom, which we've got a lot right now in a lot of the lake that is very encouraging to us. We like to have that stuff down there. But now our water's going to come up and we're going to have now another layer. So we've got two layers. And it makes things quite interesting because you can go out and you can fish top water or you can uh, find certain areas that and use, at a certain time of day, a certain area, a windy bank, a bank where there's a creek, a bank where there's a drop off. There's all kinds of things that you want to look for that will get those fish active. So let's talk about a few things that you want to look for. One thing is where there's a creek. I'd already started on that. I digressed. Um, where there's fresh water flowing into the lake, any lake, that's always a good place you want to start fishing. Always, particularly if you're fishing for something like catfish. If you're fishing for a bottom feeding fish, they love that kind of murky water and they like that moving water because it's moving stuff through that they feed on. And so that's a really good idea to fish those areas thoroughly. And then when the water slows down in those creek channels, really get after it for the bass because they'll get back up in there and really go to town. So what happens? What happens is that all kinds of things are getting washed into the water. So you're getting, little, uh, maybe little lizards and worms and frogs and all kinds of bugs, all kinds of stuff is getting washed in from that creek bed where that water's coming from, and that's what those fish end up uh, feeding on. Plus, you're always going to have a movement of fish that are going to swim into that current. That current's got a lot of oxygen in it. Even if it's cloudy, it's got oxygen in it. Don't discount it just because it's cloudy. Um, when it's really murky, muddy, yucky, and they're not used to that, that's going to affect them. But pardon guys, I've got allergies galore out here. My nose is itching and my eyes are watering, and we're fighting allergies big time, like I'm sure you are too. Um, and so that's one place that I'm always focused on. When I was a kid, I would take a worm and a fishing rod, and I'd go to the little creek in our neighborhood in the middle of the rainstorm. I'd stand out there and I'd catch catfish galore, and that's what kind of got me going on that. And I still love doing it. So those creeks are a good place to get going, get started, and definitely a good place after everything's settled down to go back up in there because the fish are going to go back up there as well. Um, Windy banks are always going to be something you should check out. If you have a good clear water, if your water's not real muddy and murky and it's blowing into a bank, really give it a good workout because fish are always going to gravitate towards windy banks, windy points, main lake points. I've been doing really good on main lake points the last 2 or 3 weeks with topwaters. I've caught some really nice fish and quite a few of them. So the topwater bite right now is in full bloom here on Lake Fork with the post spawn. The I'm doing a lot better on topwater than I am subsurface. So even during the day, you'll still get some bites. They're still kind of getting aggressive, still kind of coming out of their funk from spawning. So now it's rain, the lake's come up. Where am I going to fish? I'm going to look for anything that I see that's flooded. I'm certainly going to pull a topwater over it because you just never know. The fish this kind of spreads the fish out as well. So when the lake's down lower, like 3 feet, like we've been, then it kind of concentrates the fish in certain areas. But when the lake comes back up, it makes the lake that much bigger and it spreads them out. And so you have to really, sometimes you have to really cover a lot of ground, but a lot of times you're going to find a concentration of them that if you're on a windy bank and it's blown some shad in there, we have tons of shad in this lake that have, I don't know if we had a late spawn, we may have, and maybe just be a regular spawn, but there is a ton of shad in here, and those fish are concentrating on them, of course, but they're also concentrating on brim around the bank. So you could do really well there if you're out here and you're fly fishing. You want to just catch some fish, have some fun, bring a 5 weight or small or lighter, um, and do some brim fishing. They're attacking everything I throw out there, even the bigger ones that I'm throwing out there for bass. The brim are pounding on them, and I'm about to become a brim fisherman real quick because I really enjoy catching them with light tackle. And so back to where we're going to look for fish when the lake comes up. We're going to look then after we've we've covered the shoreline. So we're going to look for anything hanging in the water, any kind of where the water's come up and it's come in around a piece of brush, something growing on the bank, and boy, hit it really good and hit it on both sides. But those fish will get up under there and they'll just kind of belly up under there and wait for something to swim by. They'll come out and get it. I'm getting my fish. Last night I caught 2 nice fish and missed 3 or 4 more with my fly fishing. I have about a 2 out of 5 is about my average, my catch rate, because on top water it's just a little more challenging for me to get them out of there. So that's kind of what I did last night. But they're healthy. Good Lord, they're healthy. They're super healthy. They fight really hard. And I was getting my fish when I'd throw up next to a tree stump. Now, the lake's going to come up and the tree stumps are going to be under the water, but they're still there. And so don't be try and remember that just because you can't see them, it doesn't mean they're not there. And so what that would mean is I would just throw a top water over it, and I would just pull a top water over an area that I know has a lot of stumps. A lot of times you'll pull a fish up, or a lot of times they're just cruising over the top of those things. These bass will cruise a lot this time of year. And so the second thing I'm going to do when the light comes up is I'm going to really figure out where I want to work my subsurface. So if I know that there's been some growth under the water that now has several inches or even a foot of water on top of it, I'm going to throw a subsurface. I'll throw some type of a streamer over that. If you can get over a grass bed, a good thick grass bed that has a layer of clear water over it, you can really, really have fun with a streamer. I like to use a brim colored or kind of brim imitation. They seem to really like that. Um, Shad is sort of always my go-to here. The first thing I do is I fish with a shad type pattern and color. But then when I'm around grass, I want to go to a brim type color because that's what they're I guess it's what they're seeing. It's what they're reacting to. That's all I can tell you. It's what they react to best with me. And so I'm going to then so I've got my top cover, my bottom cover, and there's this zone in between. There's this zone of kind of clear water in between. If you can kind of visualize that, where you have the original hydrilla that was growing, or duckweed, or whatever it is, even lilies, because the lilies are growing out into the shallow flats right now where the water's down, but now the water's going to come up. Those lilies are going to be under the water. And so I really want to concentrate on things like that. Lilies are, of course, that's kind of where you want to be if you could find them. We got quite a few of them here on Lake Fork, and it's going to be really interesting when this water comes up. Now, I know I'm being very optimistic. The weather forecast shows us getting a whole bunch of rain in the next couple of weeks, and we're anticipating that the lake's going to get back up full. And we're hoping it does. I got a little excited this morning because I went out and I was hearing thunder, and that's why I wanted to come out here and do this. And the thunderstorm's already gone past us, and we didn't get any rain, which has been sort of our it's been sort of our mo here. Uh, this whole spring, we start hearing it, and then it goes around us. So let's hope that changes. We actually start getting some. We start getting some water back in this lake. So the lake is about 2 feet low right now. It's a little more than 2 feet low. It's for a lot of guys, they consider that just fantastic. It's only 2 feet low, and they're feeling really good about it. And one guy told me the other day, he goes, "Man, I consider that full pool." I don't, because I don't like having to fight the stumps all day. And when it's full pool, I don't have nearly that as much of a problem with that. And so I really like full pool because I really like fishing around brush and things like that with my fly fishing. Um, so the bass right now, the bass bite is super aggressive. Top water is really hot. I'm getting most of mine in the evening. I like to go out about maybe 5:30 or 6 and fish the last couple of hours of light. Pretty soon it'll be another hour kind of packed in there when it starts getting dark around 9. But I'll go out and fish the last light, or the last part of the day, and that seems to be when I'm getting the most action, catching the most fish. And of course, I focus a whole lot on top water because it's just what I enjoy doing, and that's what it's about, right? So the bass right now are really hitting that top water. I haven't done as well with subsurface. I'm not throwing as much subsurface. The other thing is you really need to focus on any place you can find aquatic vegetation growing. They're focusing on that. There's bass out here that are guarding fry, and there's also crappie guarding fry. So there's a lot of action in that aquatic vegetation. A lot of fish are in there, a lot of action. So make sure and work those areas real well. And you'll go anywhere from a top water to a streamer, either way. But the top water, it seems to be working really well. I normally use kind of a Dahlberg imitation. I just call it a cheap a cheap Dahlberg imitation because I tie it, and I don't tie that great, but I've been showing you guys the last couple of weeks what I've been using. And then this week I started just tying up a I don't know what you call it, it's just a popper, but it's a big fat one. Makes a lot of noise, and I'm throwing that in the evening. I've been getting fish with that later in the day. Of course, if you get out early and if you have clouds, you're also going to get a good topwater bite, real good topwater bite. And of course, the clouds will extend that a little farther into the day. And as long as the clouds are out, you have a chance of getting that bite. Um, a, a frog pattern, of course, is going to be really good. That Dahlberg pattern, I like that because when you strip it, it dives down under the water, and then it kind of looks like it's swimming back up. Now, one of the tricks that and it's really hard for me to do because I just don't have the patience. If you let that top water sit there for at least 10 seconds, in other words, strip it, it comes back up, and if you'll let it sit there for at least 10 seconds, I'm getting a lot of my bites when it's just sitting there, and something makes those fish want to they just decide to come up and pound it, and that's when I've been getting them. So I know you want to throw it out there, and I do too. You want to throw it out there, and you want to strip, and watch it move and watch it gurgle and do all that stuff. I get that. I do too. But if you're patient and you let it sit there for a minute and let the fly do the work for you, those fish will just come up and grab it at some point. So give that a try if you're having a slow day. Just be a little more patient with them. Looks like work going on the ranch here. Uh, Catfish should be right now shallow. And I bring up catfish with fly fishing because I catch a lot of catfish fly fishing. I have a lot of fun catching them. I'll use they'll hit a streamer and they'll hit a smaller bait as well. And so, like a bead head or something like that, if it's got a little bit of a fishy look, catfish feed a whole lot on shad. And so, you can throw that out there. If you're near a fish feeder, if you're near someone's dock and there's a fish feeder, I actually tie a little, uh, what I call a corn kernel. It looks just like corn kernel. I'll just use kind of yellowish, kind of gold colored. You can use just yarn if you want. That's what I use. It just has that color on a real small hook and just drop it in there around where those feeders are. You'd be surprised how often you'll catch catfish and and brim as well. I've caught brim with it as well. So give that a try. It's a real simple tie. I'll do one. It'll take about 30 seconds, but I'll do one and record it, and I'll publish it so everybody can see. And so someone's asking me if I've ever fished Lake Jacksonville. I have not. I don't even know honestly where Lake Jacksonville is, but I would love to learn. And if it's out in my area, I'm never opposed to going out and learning new lakes. So let me know, James, how you know where it is, and maybe I'll be able to run out there and give it a shot. Um, okay, so that's our bass, and so we've talked about fishing the fresh water that's coming into the lake and fishing windy banks and main lake points. That's right now where I'm getting a lot of action. I'm still getting action in the backs of the coves on top water in the evening. They're going to go back in there in the evening, late afternoon, evening, and they're going to feed. And so that's uh, kind of our fishing report this week. Make sure if you're out here on Lake Fork or you're in East Texas and you're fishing for bass that you have proper sized leaders. I use a 20-pound tippet, and then I use the twisted leader that I've shown you before. And the twisted leader um, is pretty powerful. You know, I've never broken one of them. But if every time I use smaller tippet, and I will go to 15 if I need to, I have a problem out here where I could lose fish because a lot of these fish will take off and go right into brush or wrap you around a stump, which there's plenty of them, and you want to be prepared for that. Also, um, I fish a lot with a 7 weight and an 8 weight, but I'm about to have, I keep an 11 weight in my boat with me just in case, because if I'm throwing into lilies, or I get into a situation, sometimes I'll get into a situation where I'm catching larger fish, and the 7 and 8 can handle it to a point, but if you're catching them in real brushy, stumpy water where you're going to get wrapped a whole lot, um, you're at a real disadvantage with that 7 or 8 weight, and you might want to go to a 10 or 11 weight or a 12 weight. You want just a heavier, stiffer rod that you can kind of horse them out of there. Same thing when you're just bass fishing conventionally and you want to, you know, heavier rod to handle the bigger fish. Same thing. So today I was watching some stuff on the internet, and there was a video that came up, and they were talking about boats. They're critiquing certain brands of boats, and I watched it just out of curiosity, and I was struck by some of the information they were giving out on these boats, and that some of them they're they talk about how fast they go. So they're talking about the quality of boats. This video is focused on the quality of the boats and people's complaints about various boats. But I during the video he's like, well, this is a pretty decent boat. It'll go 92 miles an hour, and I'm like, what? Why in the hell would you want to go 92 miles an hour in a boat across a public lake? That's crazy. So that's how I feel about it. I know some of you guys are like, yeah, man, I want to go faster. Really think about that. Do you really need to go that fast? Remember that when you're going 70 miles, 60 miles an hour, 70, 80, if you have one that actually goes 90, I don't know. I guess that's what they do. I don't know if that's how you guys rate your decision making on these things. You want the fastest boat. Um, Remember that when you're driving that boat, you don't have brakes, you don't have stoplights, you don't have lines in the road telling people where to go. You have a bunch of people out here that are randomly blowing and going across open water, and this is how we have a lot of the boat accidents that we have, and it's people going too fast. They can't control the boat. I've seen two or three of them lately where they just simply didn't see the people in front of them, and they ran right into them. They just couldn't see them. Is it because the boat's going so fast that they can't see where they're going? Is it because they have big giant screens on the front of their boat blocking their view? There's a lot of that. That's a big problem. And I've seen some giant screens on these boats. I can't believe the size of the monitors you guys are putting on these boats. Um, Whether or not I agree with it, whether or not I would ever do it, is a whole nother discussion I don't want to have today because I don't want to make you mad. I just want you to think about things. If you're going out to buy a boat, what is the primary reason you want that boat? Is it because you want to be the fastest guy on the lake, or is it because you want something that's going to last you a long time and be practical? Is a 250 horse motor or 300 horse motor now? I've seen them to three. I've seen them all the way up to 600. Um, is that something that you need to have on the back of your boat so bad that $5 a gallon gasoline is going to help your day? I don't think so. I mean, I don't. I have a 115 on mine, four stroke, and that baby is stingy on gas. And that's exactly why I wanted it. Because I've lived enough of life to understand that the $2 gas probably will never be back, and $5 gas is a whole lot more likely than $2 gas. So think about, and I know I've talked to my friends and I go, how much gas is that big engine of yours? Oh man, it doesn't use that much more. Well, that's bull, and you know it's bull. Of course it uses more. It's a bigger engine. Pushing a heavier boat. It's going to use more gas. Okay? That's reality. So think about why you want to spend this money on a boat. These guys are 40 to 40,000 to over well over 100,000 for a bass boat, depending on what you want to get. Think about why are you getting it, and what do you want it to do for you. Personally, I want to go out and enjoy my day and be safe. Take my clients out and be safe, and that works for me. So um, that was just something that struck me when I was watching that video, is how they were focused on the speed of the boat. Um, there's too many boats out here going too fast at one time. That much I can tell you, at least on Lake Fork. So, uh, good luck. Go fishing. Don't watch the news. If it gets too stressful for you, go out there and go fishing. Turn it all off. Turn your phone off. I do. Just turn your phone off. Go fishing. Forget about all that stuff. Just think about fishing and catching fish and enjoying your day. And stay safe. I hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful week. Contact me at alex@flyfishfork.com. And if you want to have any questions, or if you want to book a date fly fishing, also you can email me at that same email address. If you have any questions about if I can help you out with any advice on tying flies, or helping you get rigged up, anything you need advice for fly fishing, let me know. And I look forward to hearing from you. And please leave your comments, and like and subscribe and share these videos if you think they're helpful. Have a wonderful day, and until next time, this is Alex signing out.